Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my OWL Readathon wrap-up, or also just my April wrap-up. In the month of April I read 8 books, but before we get to talking about these lovely piles right here, I would like to bring up that I am not going to be posting a vlog for this month. So initially I had planned to vlog every week in the OWL Readathon, and I started to, but come looking back at it, I'm not too comfortable with how I was on the vlog. I'm not too comfortable with where I was. I didn't really read a lot of physical books, and yeah, I just didn't feel like I've done much to warrant a full, even one vlog from the month. So there's that. But anyway, let's just get on to it. So the first book I read this month was for the Care of Magical Creatures prompt, which was to read a book with a land animal on the cover. And it might be a stretch, but I've seen other people kind of doing this with using the magical animals, I guess. So, I guess they're called. So, for that, I read Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I listened to this book on audiobook, and it's a very obvious reread for me. But I did enjoy diving back into the story and getting the introduction of 2 of my favorite characters with Sirius Black and Remus Lupin. So after that, I read the prompt for Transfiguration, which was to read a book with the sprayed edges or a red cover. So for that, I read the collector's edition of The Sun Is Also a Star, purple edges. So it worked out. I actually really enjoyed this story for the first time I've read it, and I did post a full-on book talk about it. All in all, I think I gave this maybe like 3 stars. It wasn't as good in the middle. Like, if the end was as good as the last 100 pages or so, and the first 100 pages, it would be good. And also, I don't think I said it, but I gave Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban either 4 or 5 stars. So my next read, which actually I was really enjoying, and I'm upset it ended, because I've never reread Harry Potter past the first 2 books, is for the potions prompt, which was to read a sequel, and I chose Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So the best thing I have with this book is, and it's actually a really good memory now that I will associate with Harry Potter, while listening to the audiobook for this, I finished the audiobook on a drive in the Rocky Mountains. Like, now that's another good memory I'm going to associate with Harry Potter, especially on my first reread of this book in years, like in almost 15 years probably, because like I haven't reread the back 6 Harry Potter books since Deathly Hallows came out. Like, I've reread Sorcerer's Stone, I've reread Chamber of Secrets, but now I'm finally getting to the rest of the series on a reread, and I just enjoyed this. I'm 95% sure I gave this 5 out of 5 stars again, especially because I forgot how much the movies left out from this story. So the next book I read is going to be for the arithmancy prompt, and that's going to be read a book with more than one author. And for that, once again, another audiobook, but I listened to The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I actually enjoyed this. I really did. I gave it maybe like 3 stars because the beginning is really, really slow, but once it really picked up in the end, I loved it. I didn't want to stop listening to the audiobook at all, and it was just a good time. Honestly, if you're looking for like a new series to start, I will recommend The Iron Trial. Like, it's been on my list for so long. I've owned this book for so long, and I just never picked it up. I did once, but I was using it in my car as a book to read before work, and it just didn't work out because I normally get to work like 5 minutes before I can clock in. So I just have to like go straight into the building. And yeah, so it just sat in my car like maybe with the first 30 pages read. But I finally ended up finishing it. So there's that. The next one is actually going to be a very much of a stretch, but I picked up this book because I was going to the author signing, and I wanted to at least say I read her book before the signing. spoiler alert, I didn't finish it before the signing, but I'm actually glad I took my time with it. And that's going to be the prompt for Muggle Studies, which is to read a contemporary. And I read Girl in Pieces. So, Girl in Pieces is actually a good book. I want to say I gave it maybe a 3.5 to a 4-star rating on Goodreads. And you're going to follow Charlotte Davis, also known as Charlie, who wakes up one day in a mental hospital. And come to find out, like, why she's there and how she has to leave and her entire relationship when she moves to a new state, and like just learning the family dynamics and everything else. And it's actually a good story that can easily remind people that family's often more than blood for some people. So there's that. And honestly, I'd recommend picking this up, but it does have a trigger warning for mental illness and self-harm. So the next book I picked up is going to be for the herbology prompt, which is to read a book with a plant on a cover. And the only reason I have picked this up was because I was watching Read by Zoe's 24-hour readathon vlog, and I actually never read this series as a kid, and I just liked hearing how she talked about it and how she has like the memories of it. So I ended up picking up Vacation Under the Volcano from the Magic Treehouse series. And it's got like a tree there and tree on the cover there. And yeah, no, and I got this from my library just to have something to hold up for you physically. I missed one book talking about, which I'll go back to, I just realized. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So, I mean, I'm not the intended audience. I can't say much about it. I did enjoy it, and I can actually see why people loved this as a kid, and I might recommend it to some kids I know on my street. Yeah. So I skipped, and I wrote this down so I would not skip it, but I skipped it. For the prompt for Charms, after I read The Iron Trial, I had listened to the audiobook, because it was a short audiobook, for Elevation by Stephen King. I don't have the physical book. I bought the physical book to have because I actually enjoyed it that much. But my dad's reading it, and he currently has it in his car. So, in Elevation, we meet this gentleman who's losing weight and losing weight and losing weight, and we don't know why. And the story kind of just follows him on his journey to connect more with his neighborhood, to connect more with the people around him. And in the short, I think 140 pages it is, I loved it. It was my first Stephen King book, and the problem I've always had with Stephen King is how descriptive he gets. And honestly, this was like the perfect writing style for me from him. And I loved it, and I enjoyed it, and I want to say I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, which was actually a very common thing this month. So, anyway, after Girl in Pieces, I picked up another audiobook. I know. I had an audiobook heavy month. Really heavy. So, I'm sorry. Not really. I was traveling. Audiobooks helped. So, I picked up my Ancient Runes prompt, which was to read a retelling, which I read Heartless by Marissa Meyer. So, the initial idea I had for this, I was going to read one of the Lunar Chronicles books by Marissa Meyer. I picked it up physically, and I did not like the start. So, I put it down. I was going to read Batman Nightwalker. Changed my mind again. I put it back down. And I saw this on my shelf, and it's been on my shelf for a while. Like, I bought it maybe a year and a half ago at least. And I've just never picked it up. I've never really gravitated towards it. I did once, read maybe 40 pages, put it down, never went back. So I grabbed the audiobook this month because I was in the hotel room one day watching Emma books and a lot of her old stuff. And I remember her saying the audiobook for Heartless was really, really good. So I picked it up, I gave it a chance, and yes, it was. The story for Heartless as well is pretty good. It feels like it drags a little bit, but I did enjoy reading the story of the Red Queen before she was the Red Queen. And yeah, I loved it. I loved like the tales of like loss and stuff, But I actually complained. The only complaint I had is her backstory seemed so similar to the Evil Queen from Once Upon a Time. It just seemed so similar. Like, there was a lot of comparisons you could draw. But that was it. I think I gave this 4 stars or 4.5. Like, this was almost a 5-star read for me. And the last book I read this month was for my Defense Against the Dark Arts prompt, which was to read a book that starts with R. And I chose Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Now, Radio Silence, I actually didn't enjoy. I felt a lot of it was predictable. From the beginning, I predicted that our lead character, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Yeah, no, it's not coming to me. But I predicted from the beginning, Frances, that's her name. I predicted from the beginning that Frances, who was the big fan fiction artist, would meet the creator, also known as Al Last. Like, I predicted that would happen. I predicted that it would get out. And everything in this book was just so predictable. Like, except for, like, the only thing that surprised me is a spoiler. So, I ended up giving this, I think, a 3-star rating on Goodreads. Initially it was a 4, but I did change it to a 3. And that's that, guys. I'm actually off to go hang out with my best friend who's in town for the first time in a long time. And I will catch you later in my next video. My 24-hour reading vlog is coming soon, I promise. I just haven't had time to sit down on my computer and edit that all together. So, I will catch you soon. I hope you guys had a great reading month, and I look forward to seeing what you all read in May. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Peace.